Hey guys, welcome to a special episode of Slice of Sci-Fi. I'm Zoe Hewitt and I am at the special screening of Sinister. This movie's tagline is once you see him, nothing can save you, so let's hope we make it through this night alive. Let's hope Ethan Hawke helps us make it through this night alive. So I have to tell you, I find it fascinating that your father dealt in modern art, and so now, how would you say that the movies you make are your own sense of modern art?
That's a great question. My father found kind of controversial people and found an audience for them, and I would say, not necessarily with this movie, but certainly with Paranormal Activity, it was this weird kind of magic trick of a movie, and I helped find an audience for it. So it's something I've talked to my dad about, and I don't know if there are a lot of similarities, but there's certainly a few.
Well, I mean, it's interesting that you're talking about finding an audience because you've started like this genre, it seems like, of found family movies. Now, what would be on your found family movie that you wouldn't want to get out?
We didn't do a lot of home movies when I was a kid, so I have no secrets in terms of found footage in the home of Jason Blum. I have no secret videos waiting to be released. Although we may do a movie of that.
Of the secret videos that don't exist.
The secret videos that don't exist, exactly.
It sounds like a good plan. Maybe that can go in the Blum House of Horrors.
Yeah, that would be good. That starts tomorrow. Are you coming?
We are actually.
Good.
So I want to know, are we going to be seeing you there tomorrow also?
I will be there tomorrow night, getting ready. We're not quite ready yet tomorrow night, but we'll be close, and you'll get a good sense of what it's like. Yeah.
It sounds like I'll be screaming a lot, and I'm a little bit scared. What do you suggest to people before they go through?
A few drinks are always good. Don't bring your kids. It's for adults, and it's very scary.
And, you know, I read that it's a lot of people who've worked with you on your films before. So is it a sense of like, hey, let's all get together and do this live film, essentially?
It is. We make almost all of our movies in Los Angeles. We use the same crews over and over. And we all, for the past couple of years, have talked about it'd be so fun to do a live attraction with all these scares as opposed to a movie. And so that's what we did. And it's been 2 years in the making. And we used all of we approached it like a movie, which no one's really done before. And it was like producing a movie, producing this haunted house.
You know, one of the things that I find really interesting about you is that you love, it sounds like, this good and evil, and that you like to keep making these movies with good and evil. What do you find so fascinating about this dichotomy in general?
Yeah, I almost don't know how to answer that, because what I want to say is, how is everyone in the world not obsessed with good and evil? I mean, I think it is the most important thing people can think about. You know, people need to not worry so much about being happy, they need to worry about being good. And if you want to know what's good, you got to understand what is evil. They're kind of two sides of the coin in this life. And I genuinely am a guy who walks around perplexed at how everyone else is not obsessed with it. Because I think it's probably the most interesting thing about human life is that we all know that on some level we're not what we're supposed to be. We all know that. We all feel like we ought to be something more than we are, and we can always be better than we are. Well, that's because we understand evil, because we have a sense of it. And it's also what scares us, you know?
Well, do you think that comes from your strong faith background?
Yes and no. I would almost say that my strong faith background is a result of that. I mean, I wasn't like raised religious. It wasn't a part of my upbringing in some, you know, I wasn't growing up going to church every Sunday or anything like that, but because I believe so strongly in good and evil, and because I believe so strongly that we're not what we're meant to be, I'm interested in both the horror genre, and I'm interested in religious and spiritual ideas.
And so, what are some of those religious ideas that we'll see throughout the film, Sinister?
None. No, that's not true. You know, it's not. It was intentional on my part to not get into anything that was specifically religious. I did that with Emily Rose, and that just didn't seem like the thing to do with this movie. But what's at the heart of it is fear. It's a movie about fear, and all religion has something to say about fear, and all fundamentalism is rooted in fear, in a bad way, but all true religion is about releasing fear and getting rid of fear. And I think there's some of that idea in the center of it, but I think more importantly, Ellison Oswalt, played by Ethan Hawke, is a guy who's driven by fear, and he's driven by the fear of his own status. And to me, you can't talk about evil and fear and goodness and family. You can't talk about any of those things without becoming very philosophical about it. It's just how it is.
So, I understand that you wrote the movie in conjunction with Scott. How does a writing team work to seamlessly interweave things?
Well, we have a really cool way we work. I'm a night owl. I go to bed at like 6, 7 in the morning, and he's a family man. He gets up at 7, 8 in the morning and sends his kids off to school and then sits down at 9 o'clock in the morning with a cup of coffee ready to work. And so what would happen is I would write throughout the night and send him my pages, and then he would revise those and write his pages and send them to me when I'm getting up in the middle of the afternoon, and we would just work in a cycle. So, we're working almost 24 hours a day, 5, 6 days a week, and so it works really well. And then, we live in 2 different cities, but it really doesn't matter because, very few writing teams actually sit in the same room when they write. So we just connect through Skype and through telephone and just are always working. And how we work is, he's a director and he has a director's mindset, and is always thinking about the audience. And I was a film critic for 10 years. And so I'm always thinking about the critical reaction and the critical mind, looking at films and looking at films in the long term. And so we would approach it from 2 different ways and find the middle ground and try to find something that would please everybody. And so it was a very interesting experience doing that we've repeated a couple times and that we hopefully will do for a long time.
Yeah, it seems like it. I'm just fascinated, like the fact that you're writing these scary movies. So what are your nightmares about? Are you dreaming about like balloons and clowns and flowers?
Usually I don't have nightmares. This movie came from a nightmare. It's very rare that I have them. But because I watch so many movies, I tend to dream in 3-act structure, which is very, very, it's a strange phenomenon. But most of my dreams are just forgettable stuff. It's mostly daily stuff. But when it comes to be something really kind of powerful, like the opening image of this film, it's something that I kind of jot down and set aside and say I have to play with this in the future, because if it scared me, then it'll probably scare somebody else.
Yeah, that's for sure. I have to tell you, even just looking at the trailer, looking at these posters, I'm already scared. I was telling them, like, I don't know about this.
I've had a few friends and family members call me going, I've already had nightmares and I haven't seen the movie. And that's because they put some of the scary stuff in the trailers, and good on them for doing that, because we want people to go, wow, this is scary, and come out and see it. We wanted to make something that would scare the crap out of people. I mean, that was really what we set out to do. We said we want to make, at the end of the day, we want people to walk out having been scared. And we've gotten a lot of positive reviews, but even some of the reviews that were mixed say, we had a problem here, we had a problem there, but we were still scared witless. And so we were like, we've succeeded.
Exactly. How is it different composing music for something like Sinister versus Spider-Man 3? I don't know if you guys know that, but this guy is the composer behind the awesome Spider-Man 3. So how is that different, where you've got the villain that you see versus the one that's supernatural?
Very good. Well, of course in Spider-Man, at the end of the day, it is about a superhero. And so, although there is evil in that movie, the bad guys, it's good versus evil. And so there's always this interaction between 2 types of music, dark, evil music, and brighter, more positive, go-get-em, all-American kind of stuff. In horror films, it's a different story. It's pretty bleak from the first frame to the last frame, and the music doesn't try to evolve into something that the film is not. In this case, it ends pretty bleakly, so it's not like it has a happy ending. Spider-Man has a happy ending. You see the main difference?
Yeah. No, that's a really interesting point. The arc of the music is going to be different.
The music has to follow the film. Most horror films they don't have happy endings. They don't walk out with a feeling of relief and a positive message.
That's for sure. Do you think that people who like scary movies are adrenaline junkies? Because I think so.
No.
Did you say that just to disagree with me?
Yep.
I had a feeling.
I'm like a baseball player. The one-word answer. I agree with that, but I think people too often write off scary movies as just that. I think there are some seriously high-quality scary movies. Everyone has The Exorcist on their top 10 or top 20 movies of all time. Insanely scary, all the adrenaline rushes you could ever ask for, and it's a really good movie. So I think people often take it, just assume, it's a scary movie and that's it. Most scary movies, and most movies are bad, but the 10% are good. So this is one of those. I've already seen it. My friend is the director and the writer, so I forced him to show it to me, and I saw it in the daytime. And I'm terrified to go in there.
Have you gone to sleep since you saw it?
No, it's been months. That's mostly the methamphetamine, though.
Another show entirely. I thought we were keeping it to sci-fi.
Yeah, now with Breaking Bad.
So what do you think is the worst way to die in a sci-fi movie? Sci-fi, in a horror movie, or sci-fi?
Definitely the worst way to die in a sci-fi movie is old age.
Because people don't
really
die in
boring.
sci-fi movies.
Yeah, it's just really boring, and people are like, I don't want to see that. I want to leave. It has to be some sort of spectacular, creative, violent death. Other than that, I mean, you don't want to see just a person just kind of like, well, I had a great life. Dead.
That would make a boring
When was the
ending.
last time that happened in a movie?
Not sure.
Exactly.
Well, anyway, Joel, thank you
Even
very
Cocoon stopped that. So, and I just referenced a sci-fi movie. All right.
Good job.
Thank you.
Good throwing it in.
See? All right.
best tip for making it to the end of a horror movie as a character? I mean, characters get killed off in a variety of ways in these movies.
The best tip is, if you're the guy who says, don't go in there, Johnny, you usually do better than the guy who says, let's go.
So true, right? So, I heard you talking about Jason having this indie punk rock vibe, but I feel that way about you. Is that something you cultivate? Would you say you have an indie punk rock vibe too?
I'm always drawn to that kind of stuff. One thing I love about what Jason's doing is he's doing it his own way. And there's something about, I've always been drawn to those kind of movies. There's a creative freedom to them. The more money you have in general, it just means the less control you have. And the less you have cars blowing up and things like that, it usually means there's more ideas at play, And what's fun about this movie is it's incredibly scary, but it's not stupid. So I like that about it.
So it's a scary movie with some smarts to it, is what you're saying.
I'm not saying it's smart. I'm just saying it's not stupid. There's a difference.
There's a big in between there, is what I have to say.
That's what I say about myself. I'm not smart, but I'm not stupid.
I like a man who's honest here.
Yeah.
So, hey, there is a little girl, Claire. We see her on the photo here even. It seems like being on the set of a horror movie would be awfully scary for a little 10-year-old.
Kids love it. Are you kidding? It's like Halloween for them. They run around and scare everybody, and they love getting their makeup on. For them, it's a party.
Hey guys, this has been quite an evening. Like we said earlier, the movie's tagline, once you see him, nothing can save you. We saw Ethan Hawke, we saw Joel McHale, we saw the producer, the writer, the director. We've seen everyone, and I have to say, we've been saved because we made it to the end of the night, which is probably the best part of this, let's face it. We've had a great time tonight, and hope you guys did too. We'll look forward to seeing you next time on Slice of Sci-Fi.